Today's review is sponsored by Ranga, the happy Irish setter and one of my favorite redheads. I'm at his house for the week and I wanted to share this ginger boy with all of you.
Watch it, Alan, I'm shooting.
The Big Dollhouse. Eat your heart out, Shawshank Redemption. Now, I'm not saying that this movie is better than Shawshank Redemption, I'm just saying I think it would have been more interesting if all the characters in Shawshank were wearing miniskirts. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I once again am not in my typical location. I'm in other locations more than my usual home by this point. I am at Ranga's house for the week. He's a very good boy, he's an Irish setter, so I still wanted to get a video out to you guys despite the fact that I am once again staying at another dog's house. Typical disclaimer, I apologize if the lighting is off and if the audio is off. This is just the best place in this house to film at this time. And I apologize if you hear any panting or huffing in the background. That's going to be Ranga. And after that disclaimer, let's talk about women in prison movies. Women in prison movies were a somewhat notorious genre when it comes to Grindhouse cinema, at least back in the 60s through the 70s. These movies usually involved sexy women in prison. What a surprise. They were usually Sexploitation films mixed with a hint of a crime thriller and some action sprinkled throughout. But they were mostly prison dramas within the confines of a sexploitation movie.
Very nice, but it don't replace the real Mizzou.
You want the real Mizzou, Harry? You can have it.
You would basically see the shenanigans of those who are incarcerated in these prisons. Dealing with the sadistic prison guards, engaging in some sexual encounters here and there, some catfights. All of these eventually leading to some kind of escape attempt.
Open the door, we'll saw your head off.
The genre basically began in the 1950s with movies like Caged! With an exclamation point, so you have to shout it out. And in 1969, Jess Franco created the box office hit 99 Women. And then the genre gained steam in the 70s due to the rating system coming out in 1968 and film restrictions becoming more relaxed, thus allowing for more violence and sexuality in movies. This is why the 70s is considered by many to be the golden age of exploitation cinema. And I wanted to talk about the first women in prison movie directed by Jack Hill, The Big Dollhouse. Jack Hill is one of my favorite directors, and The Big Dollhouse was his first time working with Pam Grier, which would eventually lead to the two of them making Coffee, one of the best blaxploitation movies. So in a way, The Big Dollhouse was the first step to Pam Grier becoming an icon.
You got a choice. Either I tear you up anytime I feel like it, or we make a date. Let's make a date. I need my sleep.
Our movie takes place in an all-female prison in the Philippines. A young woman named Collier has been incarcerated and ends up sharing a cell with Grier, Alcott, Harad, Farina, and Bodine. These are our main protagonists for the film. Behind bars, the group lives a life of labor and lust as they try to find joy where they can within this prison. They have to contend with the sadistic prison guards, as well as this mysterious back room where prisoners are taken to be tormented by the head guard, Luciana, while a mysterious person in a mask watches. it gets to the point where the group plans this daring escape from the prison with the help of two horny fruit vendors, one of them played by Sid Haig.
Hey, did you ever, make up with any of these girls around here, man? Huh?
Not yet, Freddie. There's always a bunch of guards hanging around.
Now, a trigger warning here, the Big Dollhouse does have a couple scenes that deal with assaults. And if you're sensitive to that subject matter, maybe, skip this one, but if you can get past that, everything else in this movie is a fun women in prison movie. When it comes to women in prison movies, there are certain cliches that audiences expect, much like with slasher fans. When it comes to slasher movies, fans expect certain cliches within that genre. It's similar with women in prison movies. And The Big Dollhouse has all of those cliches. Most women in prison flicks have the inmates wearing uniforms that are more revealing than the uniforms you would see in actual prisons. I mean, I like a sexy mini dress as much as the next horn dog, but I'm not expecting to see stuff like this in any prisons in real life. There are catfights, steamy shower scenes, lesbian exploration, sadistic guards and wardens that are running the prison, and it all usually builds up to a thrilling escape attempt. We have all this in The Big Dollhouse. We have some fun and interesting characters throughout this film. Collier is mostly there to be the eyes of the audience, seeing the goings-on in the prison, learning about all these different characters, and she does eventually join the group for the escape attempt. But she does a good job serving as the every woman, for lack of a better word.
Well, I caught him making it with one of the servants. The maid? The houseboy.
No shit. What did you do?
Well, what do you think I did? I mean, the houseboy looked pretty good to me, too.
Then you have Bodine and Alcott. Alcott has been hardened by prison life, dealing with the goings-on in this prison for so long, has beaten her down so much that she's kind of only looking out for herself at this point. That is until Bodine hatches the escape plan.
The wire can't be cut. It's too hard to get over it.
There must be another way.
Bodine is the strong leader of the group. You can tell that people consider her to be the toughest person in this prison. She's one of those, strong, silent types.
Stay out of this, Bodine. Oh, she's just a scared kid. Leave her alone. It's all in fun. I said that's enough. Okay, Bodine, okay.
These characters are interesting because you get a sense of their history and their desires, and you learn more about them as the film goes on. Alcott does something very immoral early on in the film, but you see how she got to this point. Not that these are deep characters. I mean, this is made to be a sleazy, titillating sexploitation movie, but the film does a good job at getting us to care about these characters. Farina she's a part of the group, but she's just kind of there. She's the woman who has a pet cat in the prison, which plays a part in the escape attempt. You have the character Harad, who is a junkie, who is going through withdrawals as we get closer and closer to the escape attempt, and we see, how the withdrawals are affecting her.
I gotta have it now. God damn it. Listen, you toady bitch. I'm gonna get you out of here, but I can't do it with you yelling your fool head off. Now forget about getting your cred tonight because there's no way.
Then we have Pam Grier as Grier. What a stretch. This character is more antagonistic than her characters in other roles. This was before she became the Queen of Blaxploitation with Coffee and Foxy Brown. Now, Grier is not the antagonist of the film. We have our villains in this movie, but she is antagonistic to her cellmates. But you understand how she became this way due to hints, lines, and monologues of what happened to her before she got arrested.
For a long time I let them get at me. That's why I'm in this dump. But no more, you hear me? I'm not gonna let a man's filthy hands touch me again.
Come on, Fred.
She's here to get hers. She uses her intimidating ways to have the other prisoners do things for her, sometimes titillating things. Pam Grier is great in this role because she's Pam Grier, and this was her first bigger part in a movie, so it's great to see how she got started. And then you have Harry and Fred, Harry played by Sid Haig. These are two fruit vendors, two horny fruit vendors that bring fruit to the prison and smuggle things in for the prisoners. They're not good people, but they are entertaining to watch.
Let's get the lead out your ass, boy, because if we ain't out of here in a few minutes' time, they're liable to lock us in here for the night.
That wouldn't be such a bad idea, huh?
It would be if it was just you and me in the cell, Fred.
The villains are solid. You do have protagonists in this film. They are good people, but they are in this morally gray area due to being hardened by being abused in this prison for so long. I guess you could say main villain is the head guard, Luciana. Now, she's not the one in charge, but there is a lot of focus put on her. She's the one who does the torturing in the room. One detail that I like is, before she does her thing, she puts her hair down. Her hair is mostly up throughout the film, except when she's getting ready to hurt people. It's this interesting quirk that begins the tension. When we see her put her hair down, we're thinking, uh-oh, she's getting ready to rock and roll. There are torture scenes in this movie, not too many of them, but there are torture scenes in this movie, but they aren't graphic, or at least not that graphic. There is nudity in them, and we do see some stuff, but it doesn't get to the point where the movie is disturbing. They are unsettling, and they are there to give a punch of dread. But they don't go so far as to make you miserable while watching this film. But at its core, this movie is a sleazy, campy exploitation flick. The movie knows what it is, what it's giving the audience. A fun, sleazy sexploitation movie.
Oh, come on now. Not through the bars.
You should be able to get in here at night and steal a key from somebody.
You have shower scenes, you have nudity, you have a scene where Alcott and Grier get into this fight, and it ends up in a mud pit.
Huh. Now I'm in my own natural element. Come on down here and fight.
Because why not? This is a sexploitation flick, so let's give the audience a sexploitation flick. There's a lot of fun dialogue, not great dialogue, but fun dialogue.
Step on it, Harry. Crash the gate.
I can't. It's too strong.
You won't die from this bullet, Harry, but you'll wish you had.
Entertainment is the key factor here, and everything builds to this prison break, which is very entertaining. Many women in prison movies build to a prison break, and you need to nail that. It's usually the biggest action set piece in the movie, and the Big Dollhouse nails that. But we get some more action after the prison break as we get towards the end of the movie, which leads to one of my favorite images in a women in prison movie. You've seen this in the opening sequence of my reviews. Here it is right here. A woman in a mini dress with 2 machine guns shooting people down. If that doesn't define Grindhouse cinema, I don't know what does. I love Jack Hill. He's one of my favorite exploitation film directors. Switchblade Sisters is one of my favorite movies of all time. Coffee is probably my favorite blaxploitation movie. I don't know if The Big Dollhouse is my favorite women in prison movie, but I think it's a good introduction to the genre. It has all the bits that you see in classic women in prison movies. And with that, let's get to the Grindhouse rankings. We've got a body count of about 25, maybe. It gets a little messy in the final act. The kills consist of gunshots, stabbings, explosions, and death by cobra. It reaches the women in prison requirements, that sounds weird, with sadistic prison guards, shower scenes, and a thrilling prison break. There is a lot of nudity in this film, plenty of TNA throughout. This is a fun, sleazy time. This is a movie that knows what it's giving the audience. The characters are well done, not the deepest characters, but the movie does a good job at letting you know what they're all about. This is more of a prison drama, but it does have its moments of horror and action. We get a couple torture scenes and a couple action scenes. The dialogue is fun. It's not trying to win any awards, it's just trying to entertain you. The prison break is entertaining. There's a good build-up and a good payoff with the shootout. This is a good introduction to women in prison movies. It may not be the best, but it does give you a taste of the genre. I'm giving this a 4.1 out of 5. If you're a fan of exploitation movies, you'll like The Big Dollhouse, especially if you're just getting into women in prison movies. As always, I want to thank all of you for continuing to watch and support this channel. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know if you'd like me to talk about more women in prison movies. This is a genre that doesn't seem to get as much attention as other genres in exploitation cinema. This is the Maniac and Ranga here to remind you that the Grindhouse will never die. Tell him he's a good boy. Oh, let me get him in the shot there. There you go. That's a good boy.